should start recording so you can tell everybody about your beard situation.
No, just saying I wanted to shave my beard, but then my clippers died and now I'm unable to shave my beard and it's getting out
What
of
do you mean by
control.
died? Like the battery died?
No, the battery is fine, but the part that
Like
cuts, it's not like moving. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe it thinks you look better with a beard. And it's like, no, you know what? I'm gonna not.
Yeah, some conscious clippers right
yeah, maybe
there.
your clippers have an opinion on your beard. Wouldn't that be cool if our like accessories could tell us what they think of us?
Let's
Like
start
if your
this.
clothes were
Let's
like,
start
no,
this
I don't
episode.
like you putting this with this other thing, or like, I don't fit well on you, you know?
No.
Yeah, let's go, Josh. This is what happens when I am awake. I'm sorry. Welcome back to Adulthood, friends. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that adverb Josh.
Why don't you give us an adverb this week?
Opportunistically. The things that opportunistically matter.
That's your adverb of the week.
And I'm Aya.
I'm Josh.
And today we have episode 50.
50?
Woo-hoo. I
what?
know,
We've
so
done 50
many
episodes?
Yeah.
That's craziness.
It's crazy, McCrazy. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So our topic is expectations. So if you have expectations for our 50th episode,
prepare to be disappointed.
Prepare for disappointment.
Or not. I don't know. Depends what your expectations are.
It's good to start low.
We'll get into that, won't we?
We will get into that, won't we? Yeah. Should we just get into it then?
Let's get into it.
And we're back.
So good to be back.
So Josh.
Yes, Aya?
What do you think of our topic this week?
You know what? I think that you seem a little out of it. And even though you're awake, I wonder if that's because you got COVID.
Well, I don't have it. Okay, well, let's catch everybody up a little bit. So I don't have it now.
Oh, so you did have COVID.
I did have COVID, yeah. I still have some remnants and actually kind of like hits me every once in a while.
Well, I just heard you during the music coughing.
Like the cough?
Yeah, so I have lingering cough.
I have a pretty gnarly cough. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing because sometimes I'm out in public coughing and I'm like, I swear I'm not good. I shouldn't be contagious anymore. Like I tested negative and everything eventually. Right now I'm kind of stuffy.
You tested on a PCR or did you test on a rapid test?
No, on a rapid test. But I was testing positive for like a full week before.
Apparently the PCR, you can test positive for like up to 3 months or something.
Because you still have the antigens for the virus for a while.
I don't know if we sound as good talking about this stuff without Simone here.
We definitely don't. I probably used the wrong word already.
You might be right.
Yeah.
You're feeling better?
I feel way better. Well, I feel, all right, let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, what happened here? Yeah.
So I was supposed to go to Quebec for a French course.
You were expecting to go to
I was
Quebec.
Expecting. Yes, I was expecting. I was planning.
You were excited.
I was excited. It was Saturday night and I had packed most of my stuff in my car because I was going to leave as early as I could the next morning on Sunday. And I had been feeling a bit like, I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of not sure. But I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens here. And yeah, so I was prepared. I was going to wake up the next morning and drive to Quebec and start the course on Monday. But like you do all the login stuff on the Sunday, they're like expecting you there then. And I start kind of getting like really not, I was just like, I was coughing. I was feeling really not good. And I was like, you know what, as I was trying to go to sleep, I was like, I should just take a test. And I had taken a test the day before. It was negative. So I took another test and it was super positive. Ooh. And like those rapid tests, they say like, if it's positive, it's definitely positive. They're false negatives, but not generally like a false positive. So I was like, oh, fuck. And I never seen like the two lines. It was kind of weird. I had taken so many tests and they were always negative. And of course, the night before I have to go. So like, what do? I guess I can't go. It was kind of a weird feeling because like I had really been planning for this and I couldn't go. So yeah, and I emailed them and I was sick for that week. I don't have to go through, I guess, all the details, but like
all the gory details.
All the gory. It wasn't the worst, like it's not the sickest I've ever been or anything like that. I mean, I've had 3 shots. So
yeah, you had 3 shots.
I could only imagine what it would have been like otherwise, but I had a fever. Yeah, there were a few nights where it was like not that great, but it was like a fever and like the cough and the exhaustion. So kind of the classic symptoms, I guess.
Yeah.
And I still got the cough. It comes and goes, but when it comes, it's like, it's really not great.
But where are you right now? Aya.
Okay, so I'm in Quebec. Okay, wait.
What?
I'll finish my story. Let me finish my story. Okay. Josh, I know. Sorry, I got all like sidetracked here. Not that sidetracked. Okay, focus. So I have to stay in for 5 days. Like I couldn't go anywhere, even if I wanted to push through it. Like you can't. You have to isolate. So I was contacting them. Turns out, if you miss the first week, no, sorry, you can't join the course. The thing is, I had already booked an Airbnb for me and my cat, obviously, because I'm a crazy cat
Your best
lady
friend.
and because she's my best friend. Yeah, so I decided I stayed for the week and I actually had family coming in. So I stayed a little extra. And then I was like, you know what? I still have a Airbnb for 3.5 weeks. So I decided to come here anyways. So I drove to Quebec on
Oh.
Tuesday
So you,
and
even though
I've
you
been here.
couldn't do that course, you still
Yeah.
came to Quebec. And what are you doing instead?
So I'm in a city that's in between Montreal and Quebec City. Um,
Trois-Rivières.
yeah, that's right. Oh, how did you know?
I remember we talked about this.
Oh, we talked about this. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it's a nice little place. I'm near downtown. So I went down to the tourist office the first day and got a little like pamphlet full of little things that there are to do. So I'm doing a little bit of that, but really I figured I would take the opportunity to write. Like I've been talking about for I don't know how long, however long, 50 episodes that I'm like,
Good
I
for
want to be a
you.
writer. I want to be a writer. But like, what have you written, Naya? Like a short story. And like I have ideas. It's like do something. Okay.
I can already hear
So
the energy in your voice since you've started,
I've started. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
following your
mean,
passion here.
yes and no. It's kind of a weird thing. Like I've built it up in my head, like this thing, but then when I'm writing, I'm like, I'm just writing like stupid dialogue. Like I don't know. I feel it feels very
It's a first draft.
unspecial. It's fine. Yeah. As long as
Yeah.
I'm doing something, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Get
as
it
long
all
as I'm
out
doing
and
it.
then you refine it into, you go digging
Yeah.
for the, what is it, the diamonds, and you have to, clean them
Honestly,
up. And
sure, whatever. Even
I
if
don't
it
know.
sucks, like at least I tried and at least I'll have done it. Right. Like no more
Yes.
talking
It's
about
not
it.
going to suck
So
though.
well, it might. That's
No, I
okay.
mean,
But
ultimately, I
I
don't
don't
think it will.
well, that's very nice of you, Josh. You're very kind, but you don't know how bad it might be. But that's okay.
Really? I don't know
But I'm
anything about
doing it.
writing. Okay.
So well, no, you do. You do. You're just really nice and like
And
you're just
what?
being supportive. But yeah,
No,
I've
I believe
finished
in
like
you, Aya.
chapter 1, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, so yeah, I've been working on the novel that I've been talking about for and writing about for like literally years now. So
I am
it's
so
about
proud of you, Aya.
freaking time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
And
I
I'm glad that
appreciate your
you took
kindness.
what was originally a downer of a situation for you and turned it into
Yeah.
something positive. Now you'll have done something you otherwise wouldn't have done if
Thanks. Well,
if
that
this
was
bad things didn't happen to you.
well, that's the thing. So I was really bummed. Like I said, I was looking forward to this course. I had everything like planned, and I'm a big planner. So I had everything like really set up. And then it was just like, there's no point in going. You're not allowed to do the course. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the most of the situation. I thought a little bit about that story where you couldn't find your passport, but you made the best of the situation, like made sure that you got something out of it. So yeah.
Oh,
And I thought, what would I want to get done? And well, I didn't really have to think very hard. I knew I had wanted to write. So while I was at home sick and like it was so frustrating to be sitting at home and I was feeling sick, but I was mostly like annoyed and like trying
you
to figure
packed your
out how to
car
fix
and everything.
things.
Yeah.
My car was packed. Yeah. And like people weren't answering my emails fast enough because for me, I'm just sitting like I'm doing nothing else. I'm just sitting and watching TV. And I was so tired. I actually couldn't even read. Like reading was too much of a mentally exhausting activity.
I'm sorry.
So I had to just sit and watch TV and it sucked. I know that sounds like it should be fun, but I was frustrated because I was like,
Well, it wasn't what you were expecting to
it wasn't
do.
what I was expecting. And they were emailing me and they were like, oh, we're waiting for you. And I was like, I can't come. I emailed someone and they're not emailing me back. And it was just,
Everybody's expectations were betrayed.
everyone's. Yeah. And I thought like, well, why would they stop me from joining later? Like
Yeah.
COVID's a good reason.
Where did you get COVID
And they
from, by the way?
I'm pretty sure I got it from like an exercise dance class thing because I
Mm,
had been going to those and you're kind of spaced out. So I was like, sometimes I would get really warm and I'm like, I'm just going to exercise without a mask on. Like I've been so fucking careful this whole time. And like, of course I got it then.
Yeah.
honestly, it worked out fine. It's okay. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It
So
worked
you're
out.
okay now then. You know what?
I'm
That's
fine with it.
now that you're okay, it's going to be an extra layer of protection for you. So like
Yeah.
getting a fourth shot.
I honestly didn't care that I was sick. I cared about the timing. I was
Yeah.
just
The
really annoyed.
timing sucks. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were so many times of like, if I'm going to get COVID, now's when I want to get COVID.
Yeah.
But
But of course,
then,
that's
of
not
course,
when it
that's not how it
happens.
works. Well, speaking of,
Yeah. Well, you've had your own little scare. Well, you have
um,
your own little
I
scare currently,
actually,
right?
yes. So at this very moment, I'm not sure if I have COVID
Yeah.
because backing up a little bit, my girlfriend got COVID, which we're pretty sure she got from her roommate who came back from like an EDM concert or like a whole weekend of partying or whatever. I don't know. I guess he was coughing around the apartment. I wasn't there at the time, but we're guessing that's where she got it from.
Mm.
And then I saw her for like, I basically saw her for a little bit. The thing is, we'd heard from her roommate, like while I was hanging out with her for just a little bit, like a little bit into the hangout, like we were getting dinner or something. He's like, I'm so sorry, I got COVID. And then I had a choice of whether or not to
Crazy.
like, be like, all right, let's go our separate ways for right now. But I was like, you know what? Maybe she doesn't have it. We both wanted to believe maybe she doesn't have it. She was keeping her distance from him. She was trying to. So, it was probably fine.
Mm.
And it wasn't fine. She
Yeah.
found out the next morning after taking a rapid test that she had it.
Mm.
Now, this was very scary for me. Well, scary, like I was very concerned because I wanted to do another clinical trial. I'd actually just gone in to screen for another clinical trial. And this clinical trial, if I get into it, it's like over $10,000 that
That's
I would
so
make.
much. Well,
For
what are they doing to you
it's
that
like
you're making that much
15
money?
days. They're giving me, I think this one's for a heart disease medication. We'll see if I get in.
Man, $10,000 for 2 weeks. Like I would consider
10,500,
that.
yeah.
And I'm not like pro these studies. I know that Simone was pro that.
I'm pro
Simone was
taking
pro
money
you doing
away.
them.
I'm pro taking money away from pharmaceutical companies,
No, that's true. No, I'm pro that. It's just like, I mean, taking random drugs can
big pharma.
be a bit of a like you don't know what you're gonna get. You might have
Yeah,
shitty
it's
side effects and
possible.
like they test you all the time. I don't know,
Yeah,
taking blood. I'm not into that
whatever.
part. But I mean, anyways, it's an opportunity for you. You were excited to do this.
I was
And
excited. Also, my
and
friend is going to be there at the same time doing a different trial. And like, oh
okay.
my God, wouldn't that be great? We can hang out
Yeah. Yeah.
and the time will pass. It's again, it's like going to camp,
Yeah.
camp where they constantly poke and prod you and
A
take your
really
blood.
weird camp. Did they not do that to you at your camp?
I didn't get to go to overnight camp before, so this is all I know of
You
overnight
didn't miss
camp.
out. Can I be honest? Overnight camp sucks.
For all
I
I know,
hated
this is what you guys did. I don't know.
it. Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited.
I don't
Well,
want to disillusion you. So yeah.
so anyway, I was pretty upset just that, oh my God, like what timing, same sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if I get COVID, they test you pretty rigorously for COVID there, of course.
And like
Again, like we
PCR
said,
tests, right?
oh yeah, they tickle your brain and everything. And if you get COVID, again, you could test positive for up to 3 months. And
Right.
this was a decent source of like income for me so I could continue doing my artistic stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I spent a good amount of time like from one day to the next with my girlfriend, and I had trouble figuring out like how I wouldn't get it. But it's been a few days now and I still don't have any symptoms. I did one rapid test early on that was negative, but I mean, that was pretty
Yeah.
early. I guess it could pop up tomorrow or later today, but as of now, I feel fine.
Well, good.
So that's
It's hard to
good.
say. Yeah. You
I don't
never
know.
know. You never know.
You never know how you're right. Didn't you also
Well, I saw Joel right like I left or
Joel?
I got really I
Is
felt
that
really
your
sick.
boyfriend?
Yeah. Why do you do that every time? What what's happening, Josh? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, you have a boyfriend?
Every time it's like we're in grade 7 or something. Oh my God, do you have a boyfriend? Like, why is that such a surprise? Or am I so unlovable that it's a surprise that I have a
No,
boyfriend?
it's not that you're unlovable.
Well,
It's just, oh
then
my God, it's like the rumors are true.
rumors. You're silly. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So Josh, shut up. So
I'm done. I'm not done. I'm
all right. Yeah.
gonna go on forever.
So I felt super sick, and I took that positive test on Saturday. The Friday night before, and like the Saturday morning of, I saw Joel, and like there was no distancing at all. and he didn't get sick he didn't get COVID. He
So he
actually
didn't get COVID.
randomly did get sick a week later, but it wasn't COVID.
That's
And
interesting.
it was very weird. He's like, I haven't gotten sick in 2 years. It wasn't the same symptoms. It was like very much a cold. So it was a weird coincidence or something. But yeah, he didn't get COVID. So, or if he did, it was so little that it didn't make him sick or test positive. So it was very weird. Very, very weird. I mean, like we were certain, like the first thing I said to him was like, I am so, like, I called him on Saturday night. It was like midnight or something. I was like, are you awake? And he was like, oh, what's wrong? It's like, hi, I tested positive for COVID. I'm really, really sorry. I didn't say it like that. I was just like, I'm so sorry. Cause I assumed like I gave it to him. Like I definitely, how could I not
there's
have,
so much
right?
guilt, right?
Yeah. Because also like I didn't feel 100%. And I told him that I was like, I'm feeling kind of tired and I don't know. And I eventually kind of got a scratchy throat on the Friday night. He was like, it's probably nothing. Like there've been so many times where we feel a little bit off and assume maybe it's COVID and then are extra careful that, you know, just seem like
it's almost
what are the chances?
bound to happen, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there's no perfect time to get it, but there
this
are
was pretty bad. Yeah.
particularly shitty times, just like with your, but
$10,000
who knows? But like,
study. But I might
not.
Look, I might not have it and I might not get into that. Although then I could try for another study. But yeah, that would be bad for me to be able to do studies in general for like a while, which, you know, I was hoping to do. But you know what? I hope it's the same thing in this situation. I hope somehow I didn't get it from my girlfriend. It's going to sound weird, but because I thought in the back of my mind, maybe she has it, I was like, I'm going to call this micro distancing. You know, I was
being boyfriendly physical.
Kind of like I took
spit exchanges.
I kind of stayed at, you know, farther on the bed, or I
oh my God.
did little things.
Just send her home. Just be like, go home, lady.
Which I didn't let her breathe in my face.
Tell your girlfriend I love her, and I didn't mean to say.
I do love her. Yeah.
Is she doing okay? By the way,
she is sick right now, but I mean, she's okay. But
she's all right.
She's got her head was throbbing, I think, and she's been coughing and you know, throat stuff, stuff.
I do know.
That sucks. You know what though?
I mean, we all get it a bit differently, but yeah.
She and I had a bit of a bet of who would like get it first, and I was really hoping that it wasn't going to be me. And so I guess I win. So there's that.
Oh my God. You know, I think I told you like when I found out I had COVID and you were like texting me at the same time. So I was like, hey, I have COVID. And you called me and you guys were on the way to get ice cream or something. And you were like making a joke and you were like, well, at least I don't have COVID or something like that.
We actually were getting ice cream when we found out she had COVID again this time. So that was.
How often do you guys get ice cream?
She was funny. The last time we got ice cream, she was like, we have to stop getting so much ice cream, Josh.
Yeah, what the hell, man? No, I mean,
that's over my dead obese body.
Over my ice cream filled body. I want ice cream now.
Really, you know, legitimately cold dead body.
No, seriously, what kind of ice cream?
You know, I love my favorite involves usually ice cream flavor. I love mint.
Oh, you're a mint chocolate chip type?
Yeah, mint something type for sure.
What's a mint something type?
There was a mint Oreo I had last time.
It's kind of like mint chocolate chip, but that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you?
Favorite? I don't know. I kind of like, do you remember Super Kid at Laura Secord? That was my favorite for a long time. No. It's like blue, red, and yellow.
I don't like those colored ones that stain your mouth and your tongue.
Like cotton candy. So I like those for a while. I've started to like try more adult flavors like cherry and stuff.
That's an adult
flavor?
I
like everything. I like all flavors. Well, it's less of a child flavor. Like
what are we talking about today? What is this episode about?
Blue. I'm just trying to subvert people's expectations. Like they thought we were going to talk about.
You thought we were going to talk about expectations. Well,
and then we're just talking about ice cream. Surprise! Ice cream.
The thing about expectations is we can talk about literally anything and then tie it back to expectations, which is fun for episode 50.
It is.
Well, speaking of episode 50, let's talk about our expectations for the podcast itself. Let's see what were our expectations going into it and have they been met?
This is good, Josh. Look at you with your fancy questions.
It's a fancy question.
Yeah. What were our expectations? So
what were yours? I mean, this was your idea at the beginning to do a podcast, right?
Yeah. You know, I felt like I liked the idea of just kind of chatting and having a record of kind of our ideas. And like sometimes these
don't lie, you wanted to make millions of dollars.
I wanted to be a billionaire. No, I don't think anyone, well, I don't know, some like crazy. Most people with podcasts make zero money. I think that's accurate, right?
Yeah.
We would have these good conversations. And I liked the idea of a podcast because it's audio only and it's kind of like it's long form and it's people have to look for it and listen to it. So it's not like a picture where they're like, oh, here it is. It's more like they have to, if they listen to it, it's more engaging, or like they get to know you a little bit more. I like
Yeah.
listening to podcasts. So I just wanted to join in a bit. I guess I don't even remember anymore. This is like over a year ago.
50 episodes in a couple episodes. We'll have
It'll
one
be a
episode for
year's
every
worth,
week of the year. Yeah.
even though we took some breaks. So it's more
Still.
than a year. But yeah, and we would have good phone conversations, and we would get into like topics that I like. Some of the things that you've said to me have kind of kept with me. So it
Same.
made sense to share that, I guess. I don't know. That sounds like we have such good ideas. I wanted to share, but it was just like, I mean, I'm so happy with how it's turned out.
Did it exceed your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, it's more work than I imagined, because I didn't ever, I mean, not for me right now because you're doing all the editing, but like that was more than I expected. I didn't realize that it was so much work, because like even if you don't take out any content, like to actually make it listenable and sound better, you do have to do some editing. So that takes a lot of time. So yeah, maybe it's more work than I expected, but it's also more like we've gotten more of a reaction than I expected. Like hearing from like our old classmates that they like it, or random other people, or even like an old family friend that I hadn't really talked to, but who had me on Facebook, Massimo, like started listening to it. And he's like,
Massimo.
and now you play chess with him. I play chess
Yep.
with him sometimes. And like, it's reconnected people. It's kept me more connected to people like Pierce, who I never talked to, and Dan, who like we've both had on as guests, and Amanda I did talk to, but maybe I talk to her more now, or maybe, yeah. So it has really connected. And I didn't like Michael and Simone, like everybody. Sometimes I have some people that I've talked to who are like, oh, I've been listening to your podcast. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like, it's awesome, but it's like, oh, you actually know way more about me than I know about you right now, because like, it feels like people know you. It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did I answer your question?
You did. Yeah. For me, I think I
And
can.
you, yeah, your turn. Same
I
question.
agree with you. I felt kind of the same way in many ways, especially I would say it actually exceeded my expectations in every way, but one, in that the work thing, like you said, it's way more work
Yeah.
than I expected.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing all of it.
It's just,
And you can't even get me to record.
no, it's been great. It's been great and it's been worthwhile, but it is a lot of editing work, and we've refined what we've done, which is great. I think it sounds really good. It sounds professional, especially considering the way we do this, across countries over Zoom. It's, we've talked about so many amazingly different topics, and it's been a learning experience. I feel like I'm growing. I feel like I'm at school sometimes, but in a good way.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I
we're
meant to say, I
educating
actually do
ourselves.
feel like we're learning sometimes.
Yeah, it's
like,
been
I
great
found out about this
education.
thing.
I feel like this podcast is like perfect for staving off Alzheimer's. Like, and the way, of course, I was hoping, but I don't know if I was expecting it to help connect and reconnect us with all these people that we've had on as guests and that we will have on in the future. But that's been fantastic. It's exceeded my expectations. I mean, I talked to Mike Lander and had that episode we did together on bullying was
that was a big thing for you guys.
That was super cathartic. I thought.
Yeah.
I felt that way.
I think so. Yeah.
It's been really cathartic on many levels, talking about everything from trauma to, I don't know, our life stories, inspiration. It's interesting. Yeah. I didn't realize we might be going over. It's episode 50, whatever. Right.
Yeah,
we're going to be going back over.
What was your favorite episode? I don't actually have one, so
I don't have a favorite. Yeah. It depends what you're in the mood to think about or listen to. But it's educational when we're talking and to each other and learning from each other. But also, like, if I listen to it later, which I have done, hope that doesn't make me a narcissist.
Oh my God. So full of yourself.
Often just to hear, because when I'm editing it, I don't actually get to hear it all the way through. It's like piece by piece, right?
Yeah.
But, all these people that I found have been listening to it. That's exceeded my expectations. Like, yeah, my girlfriend's listening to it.
You make her listen to it.
That's the joke. But I mean, she's just listens when she goes on her runs or walks. I don't actually. I hope I don't make her listen to it. Listen to my voice. Just the random people that have reached out. Some that we know that I'm like, I'm surprised. Oh, you've been listening to it. Some, I think, thought, oh, I'll be nice. I'll check out one of these episodes of my friend Josh. And then they're like, that's why they started, but it's not why they kept listening. It actually grabbed them. And it was so nice to hear.
That's good.
And then there have been people I don't know who've, reached out. Yeah. And of course, it's not this huge thing where millions of people are listening. And
I
I
don't
do,
think we expected. I didn't expect
I
that.
did not expect that. Obviously, I have some experience with my movies reaching that kind of audience, which was
Right.
crazy. But this, I didn't have those same expectations. In fact, I was kind of scared because I'm not putting out some fictional storylines. Like,
Mm,
I'm putting out me, you're putting out you. There's a vulnerability to
yeah.
that. And it's a little scary to put that stuff out there. But what I was hoping, and we can talk about, expectations versus hope and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I wanted this to be something that I know, I think I've said it this way to you before. If I'm dead and I've got
Oh,
kids,
right. Yeah, you have.
you
Yeah.
know, I want them to like be able to listen to this podcast and be like, oh, I know my dad.
Yeah.
That's who he
It's weird.
is. I know
Yeah.
that sounds weird and I don't
No,
have
no, I
kids,
didn't mean I
but
didn't
not,
mean that's weird. I meant like, yeah, it's weird how it's like a capture of our
yeah.
personalities a little bit.
Yeah. And the more we do of it, the more it's like,
Yeah, I didn't
yeah.
expect to be so like honest all the time, but it makes for better podcast. Anyways, yeah, go on.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
it keeps, and also I find it's been great at, we're finding what we relate to, and other people are finding that they relate to us and
Mhm.
our issues. And we all are just finding that we're a lot more similar than we are different.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the major goals. I can't say I expected that to happen, but I was hoping.
Mm,
I was hoping. I
cool.
mean, yeah, it's been,
Good.
what's your favorite episode? You can't
I don't
say?
have one. I literally said, "What's your
Oh,
favorite episode?" Don't ask me back
oh,
because I
right,
don't
right.
have
You
one.
did say that. Yeah, we shouldn't do that anyway.
No, that's fine. Nobody cares.
Virtual
Um,
reality was an interesting one, I have to say. It's not my favorite, but like,
that was my least favorite
no,
episode.
that was so interesting.
Oh my god, I can't
We
imagine that
recorded
one.
an
Like if
episode
anybody
in
asked me
virtual
like which
reality.
one shouldn't I start with, I would say don't start with
I
virtual
wouldn't start with
reality.
I wouldn't start with that one, but I think that if you've been listening for a while and it was just so interesting. I don't know many people
Okay,
who've recorded a
it was.
podcast episode
I
in virtual reality together.
I I remember feeling kind of sick that whole time,
Oh,
and I
right.
was
You had to
mostly
deal
like
with that.
picking up fake pillows and throwing them in your face like
Yeah.
obnoxiously the whole time.
It connected us more like in a weird way. It was the most physically close it felt to doing the podcast with
Yeah,
you, which I thought
yeah.
was
I
very
remember. I
interesting.
think I was hitting you at some point.
Yes.
I can't do that now. So
No, it was very abusive. Expectations versus hope. We just brought that up. What's the difference between hope and expectation?
well, an expectation, I think, I don't want to say it has a more negative connotation, but it has a more negative potential outcome because it's setting something up that you expect to happen, not something that you just hope. I don't know how to
Did you just
define these
define
without
the
using
word
the
with
actual
itself?
words. Define the word with so one's an expectation, one's a hope. Okay. Jesus. Well, it's one thing to be like, I hope something happens. Hope is more passive. Expectation is like, if this doesn't happen, I will be disappointed.
Yes. Yes, I
Right.
think that's the inherent. When we talked about calling this episode disappointment, but we didn't want to
Right.
call episode 50 disappointment.
Yeah. I think
Right?
that was a good call. Yeah.
But you're right. I think that you nailed it there. An expectation inherently means that one way or another, there's going to be another. Oh, you said it so much better. I can't. Well,
No, say
there's the disappointment, or there's the
like fulfillment kind of.
fulfillment, I guess, of that expectation. But to be honest, there's a reason there's that saying, happiness equals low expectations.
Mm,
Because not having any expectations or having low expectations seems like the ideal way to go, right? You can only set yourself up for disappointment if you do expect something. If you hope for something and you don't expect it, that's supposedly more positive for you, at least a more positive result. The question is, can you control that?
yeah. And
Yeah, you can, or yeah, I agree with the
I
question.
agree. I had something. Oh my god. I think it's good advice to keep your expectations low because you'll either your expectations then will be met or you'll be pleasantly surprised, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the
And it's
idea.
nice to be surprised.
It is nice to be surprised. Yeah. With hope, like I feel like it's a fine line between hope and expectation. So yeah, like what you're saying about keeping your hope kind of reined in
Well,
so that you're not picturing expectation like
here's a perfect
what.
example, right?
Okay.
I hope I don't have COVID right now, but I expect that I do.
Right. That's a good example. Yeah.
And my hope is not necessarily related to the statistical likelihood.
Right.
Our expectations are more actually based in
Well,
Well, that's not true. I know what I was
I
about
don't
to
know about
say.
that. Yeah.
It's based in our head
People,
in a
yeah.
sense of logic, but it might not actually be logical, right?
Yeah, often it isn't. Often it's also like the things that people expect in life that will make them happy don't make them happy, or like your expectations for how something will turn out, even if it kind of happens the way you expected, it might not make you feel the way you thought it would make you feel to have your expectations met. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
the picture that we have in our head is almost never reality, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of imagine a whole thing and have an expectation that things will turn out that way and you'll feel this way.
Yeah.
And even if things kind of happen that way, it's not the same.
We should point
Or
out
even
that
the same. Yeah.
expectations are kind of neutral in and of themselves, right? Hope is a very positive thing, right? Like something we
Mm,
want. We want the thing if we have a hope.
right.
And you can
Yeah.
expect something negative
That's
and you can
true.
expect something positive, and both can be not good.
Hmm.
If I expect I'm going to get COVID or that I have COVID and then I don't get it, I guess
Yeah, you might be happy.
I'll be
You might
really
feel like
happy.
pleasantly. Yeah.
Although I'd not be happy right now expecting that, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we're getting into weird
I
technicalities.
think there are some normal expectations that one can have, though. I don't
Mm.
think it's necessarily like a bad thing to have to not
No, of course.
like to
No.
have
You
expectations.
should have some expectations.
I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. If you
Okay.
say, "Hey, Josh, we're going to record this podcast in 1 hour," I expect that we're going to record it in 1 hour. I
I
should
hate you so
expect
much
that.
right now, Josh. Oh
What?
my God.
That's not what
Okay,
I'm going.
so
I'm not trying to make a
oh,
joke. I'm
okay.
not trying to make. I know
Oh,
there's.
you weren't? Oh, okay.
I
All
know that
right.
the time was not perfectly accurate, but that's actually not my point.
Okay. Can I explain what I thought right now?
What did you think?
I thought that you were referring to last night when we were going to record. And
Oh
by the
yeah.
time we were starting to record, it was 9 o'clock and I got hit with like this huge fatigue. And I was like, I don't want to record anymore. And my iPad's being stupid. I don't want to. And then I made Josh record today instead. Okay. So I thought you were referring to that, but
I didn't, but now
clearly
that
you
I
weren't.
recall that, this is a
And now you
perfect
can
example of that
continue.
as well. That was an expectation I think that I should have had given what you said to
Yeah.
me, right? I
Yeah.
think that it's normal to have expectations of things when people directly tell you what to expect.
Yeah. And you were very clearly disappointed. And I felt very
I
bad, but I was
wasn't
like,
I
I can't.
wasn't it wasn't
You
that
looked
big a
pretty
disappointment. I was
unhappy.
just ready. I was ready to go.
I
But I
know.
also understood that you had a tiredness at you. You're 3 hours ahead of me. Totally understandable.
I'm still recovering from COVID.
And you're
You might
recovering from
understand even
COVID.
better in like a
Yeah.
week. So
But should I not have expected it? Should I have thought, you know what? There's a chance within the next hour she's not going to want to do
no.
it. I think it's reasonable to expect at that kind of level.
Yeah.
And
I would
I was
too.
just thinking of the fact that, another example of that. And again, when you have expectations consistently betrayed, that's when
Mm,
it's a bit of a, reasonable expectations consistently betrayed, that can cause a real problem. Right. And
mm,
I remember my ex girlfriend kind of did this, right? She would say, we're going to do something by the end of the day, whatever that might be. We'll watch this movie, the show, play this game, whatever it is. And then I'd be expecting to do that, positively expecting to do that thing by the end of the day. And then I'd be like, so are we doing that thing? And she'd be like, oh yeah, maybe another day. I'm kind of tired right now, or something like that.
yeah.
Again, if
It's
that
frustrating.
happens enough times, yeah. Is it wrong of me to expect someone to keep their word, for example?
No, I think that's understandable. Also, can
Yeah.
I just side how cool is it that after 50 episodes, I totally know which girlfriend that was?
There you go. We know each other so well. You said
Yeah,
something
yeah.
to me earlier on the phone, and you said I was one of your best friends, and I feel this way
Uh-huh.
about you too. And you know what?
Oh,
I
right.
don't know if you would have said that before this podcast started.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. Because I said it, I was like, oh, because you said something about being dead or like someone killed. I don't know. It was, and I was like, I'd prefer you not die because
Oh,
you
what
are
I
one of my best friends or something like that. And you were like, oh, and I was like, all I said was I prefer you not die. But then I was like, oh yeah, I guess he didn't realize he's one of my best friends. And I was like, isn't it obvious? But then I was like, well, would it have been that way
sometimes if you don't say
before?
something out loud,
Oh,
people
I'm
don't.
sorry, John.
We think things, but it's good to, the nice thing about
Yeah.
especially this podcast or just having a good chat with a friend that's deep and honest and vulnerable is you
Yeah.
find those things out, and it's a secure feeling.
It's the
Right.
sweetest thing I've ever told you. I would prefer you stay alive.
The part that I remembered was one of my best friends. So I was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. You actually went like, oh. Am I
yeah.
not one of yours though? Like we
Again,
said.
I guess I hoped that we'd obviously become, closer and
Yeah.
build a stronger friendship from this podcast. but I don't know if I expected it. I had lower expectations. You know, we've all kind of, as we get older, I think we've practiced having lower expectations. I'll tell you, in the film industry, you really have to practice having low expectations, because
Mm.
so many times you think, oh my God, I think I'm going to get financing for this movie, or these people are going to help
Right.
me make this show. And then it falls through at the last
Mm.
minute, or for
Yeah,
whatever
that must be
reason.
so
It
disappointing.
happens so many, it's just over and over again. You kind of are afraid to ever get excited
Yeah.
and have those expectations. You know, you start to have more expectations usually when things look a lot more concrete. And I think that's when it's more
Mhm.
reasonable to have expectations.
Yeah. Also, just again, talking about like working together and, how sometimes that can make you closer to someone, but sometimes it can be like we could have ended up being like, I hate this person and I can't
It's
work with them. And
possible.
like,
Yeah.
to be honest, like I'm kind of I don't want to, I'm not like a diva or anything, but I'm kind of the difficult one sometimes. I'll just be like, yeah, the face you're making is
No,
like, I'm saying no, but yes, we both know that's the
I
case.
know what
Like,
you mean, but I don't, I wouldn't put it that way.
okay, well, that's fine. Let's leave it there. Then I won't go into
I think you
detail of, oh, I'm
have,
the difficult one.
no, I'm just saying, I think
I'm
that you have,
particular.
yeah,
I'm
but that's
sensitive.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I shouldn't change you. We should be able to work with who we
Yeah.
are.
I mean, you have
Um,
your own
I have
craziness,
my
so it's
own, yeah,
okay.
you know how I
That's
am with
true.
descriptions,
Oh my God.
and
Yeah, that's true.
we all have our things,
We all have our things.
you
That's
know,
true.
but there's been a lot of
Um,
respect, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nobody else
Yeah.
tells me to shut up with respect more than you. You have the
Oh, are
most
you you're
respectful way of saying
you're
shut up.
interpreting that? Oh, okay. Great. I'm glad that that's how you
I hear
taking
respect
that.
in that.
Wow. Okay, great. I'm glad. That's good. So, just on the line of expectations and having them, so there is like a whole line of thought where people think that having specific expectations will like manifest something. All those crazy things like, oh,
Hmm.
sorry, the cat's like kind of being
I
weird
mean,
right
I
now. I
live
don't
in
know if you can
LA.
hear that.
Yes, I know
Yeah,
those
you live
crazy
in
things.
LA. So, like dream boards, the law of attraction, The Secret. Remember that book?
Yeah.
That little book that's like the secret is to imagine that everything that you want is there. And then when you imagine it and really visualize it, it's going to happen.
I mean,
So all those like crazy things. Yeah.
that's the perfect example of what not to have expectations about. You know, like when it's not rooted in any sort of logic.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
know, if you're like, oh, I expect my partner and I are going to work out because we're both Capricorns or something.
Mm.
Those are dumb expectations to have if it's because of
Gosh.
something dumb,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And like, so for example, I remember these dream board things where people would cut out stuff. I'm sorry if you had a dream board, anybody who's
I didn't
listening to this.
know.
It's not against you, it's against everything you
There's
believe.
nothing
No,
wrong with having that. It's just
nothing
different
wrong with
between
having
having
it. So
expectations.
and there's a difference between having that visualizing something is going to make it happen and realizing that you are capable of making these things happen. So, for example, if you had a dream board with like, a really fit little person on it, and you're like, I'm going to look like that. But you're like, I'm just going to keep visualizing and it's going to happen versus I'm going to exercise every day and eat healthy and it's going to happen. It's okay to have some expectations that if you exercise every day and eat well, you might get more fit. You
Yeah.
probably should. You will
Well,
get more healthy. But if you just imagine that you are a healthier person and you continue to never exercise and eat McDonald's every day, I mean, that's an extreme, but
so what you're saying
yeah.
is, okay, so there's a couple things here, but
Okay.
there's difference between having expectations of yourself and expectations
Mm,
of others and or the universe.
right. Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
So one of those is
you
like
can't
expecting that the
control the
universe will
universe.
give you
Yeah, you can't
a hot
expect
body.
things of the universe in that way.
Right.
You can expect general things like I expect it will rain at some point. You can't
Mm-hmm.
be like I expect it'll rain on this day because I just
Because I
expect
imagined
it.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can
But
have expectations for yourself. Like
of course you have to then
yeah.
put it into existence, but
Yeah.
then if your expectations aren't met, it's because you didn't meet them. You actually have to meet your I picture your expectations like this dude running towards you at one end of the sidewalk and in the other, and you
Why does it
guys
have to
just
be a man,
meeting
Josh?
in the,
Jesus.
well, maybe I'm the woman and the expectations are the man. Yeah,
Okay.
who's the one
All right,
making
fine. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, expectations could be of any gender.
they could be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's also a good point. There's a difference between expecting things of yourself, especially when you have the agency to do the things to meet those expectations, and having expectations of the universe or of other people. It's okay, like you said, to have reasonable expectations, but you also like have to communicate your expectations. If I have some magical expectation that you, or let's say someone I live with, makes me a cup of tea and brings it to me, but I don't vocalize that, but I just expect them to do it and I start resenting them when they don't do it. Like, how about voice it? Or like, that's a terrible example, but like, I think it
Yeah.
happens a lot in relationships that one person expects something of the other. And
Yes.
when it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
they start building up some resentment. Like they won't say anything, but
Exactly. It's
they'll
very
feel
true.
resentment.
Instead of expecting things of other people, why don't you need to communicate instead of
Yeah.
silently expecting things? Yeah, you're just going to build up resentment, like you said. That's actually a huge problem or a big cause for relationships ending.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just romantic relationships, friendships,
Oh yeah, yeah.
employment.
Relationships in the broadest sense. Yeah. And I think also like, well, you were saying from expecting things from the universe, I think having certain expectations from life can really make someone, I don't want to say depressed, but like very unhappy if they feel like the universe isn't meeting my expectations for what my life should have been. You know, feeling like it's unfair that I was born, I don't know, short, or like it's unfair that I'm not a famous podcaster. Those kinds of unrealistic expectations also are like, I mean, I don't know, maybe those aren't the perfect example of unrealistic expectations, but like any kind of expectation that you have that is, you know, like you've pinned your happiness on the idea that those things
Yeah.
should happen to you and then they don't happen to you, you're going to be
Yeah.
very
You're setting
unhappy.
yourself
So
up for
like,
failure.
yeah, so just, and then there's little things like if I don't get coffee in the morning, I'm very unhappy. Also, I get like a withdrawal headache. Like,
But I mean,
which is,
there's small
but
expectations I think that are normal. Like,
yeah,
should we
and
all
health,
expect to have
food.
food, or
Yeah.
shelter? Should,
Right. Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
people who don't have the most basic of needs.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay for them to expect to get them
For
and not
sure.
have to,
For
especially if
sure.
they're the most basic of things. And that's where I feel we need to, as a
Yeah. I think
society,
everyone
help
deserves
take
food and
care of
shelter.
those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you say it
Seriously.
like it's an obvious thing, but it's not to everybody.
I mean, yeah, that's
I
that's
include
a whole
healthcare
other
in there.
issue. Yeah. Yeah. Healthcare, education. Well, I mean, that's not life
Yes,
or death.
education too. No, I expect that everybody should be able to get an education.
Or they should at
I
least have
expect that
access
I
to it
should
if they
have
want
access.
to.
Yes, people don't always understand what access means, but
Mm,
you have
like
access
real
to it if you
access.
make $1 million and then you have
Oh,
access. Like,
that's bullshit. Yeah.
yeah. I have a question.
Okay. Hopefully, I have an answer. You're
Hopefully.
expecting, I hope I meet your expectations for an answer.
We talked about expectations for this podcast and other expectations in life, but I'm curious, did you have any expectations as a kid back when we
Hmm.
were in, elementary school together or even in high school for what your life would turn out to be? And
Yeah.
have those expectations been met?
Wow. That's deep, Josh. I don't know. I mean, I wanted to be this is a little bit lame. As a kid, I had lined up I have a very vivid visual of this. I drew a line on my carpet and I put all my stuffed animals on one side and I was practicing teaching them. So I really wanted to be a teacher,
Oh,
which I have gotten to do, not
not a
exactly the
dancer?
same way. I didn't really like, I don't know, I had a weird relationship to dance. Like I liked it in a way, but I remember I wasn't generally like that happy while I was doing a lot of it because it was a lot of like, I'm not good at memorizing choreography. I tend to like, I'm really good at following along, or like if I already know the steps, it's fine. But like, maybe that's not a good example. That's a very hard life. It's very competitive. It's not
Right.
a
And you
great
knew that.
environment. I wasn't like, I mean, maybe I liked the idea of it, but I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to be a writer, which
Mm.
I still want to be. So I guess
And you
I've been pretty
expected you would be
consistent. I think I had expected that I would have written more at this point. I definitely didn't expect that I would spend so much time in school
doing a
or that I would take such a
PhD.
weird detour before getting to teachers college. So like that's definitely a surprise. I probably expected I'd be a little bit more settled at this point, although I'm not unhappy with the way that that is. But yeah, I'm okay with I'm not unhappy with the way that things are, but I probably expected. I mean, when you're a kid, your sense of time is different than it is now. If someone said like in 25 years you're going to still be like,
You're like, when I'm an old person
la
of
la la.
21 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
But we also have
um
expectations based on what we're told as kids,
yeah,
right?
no, that's true.
We all,
I
especially when you're being told by parents and teachers that you got to go to college, you got to go to university, and then
mhm,
this is what's going to happen because maybe that's how it worked out for them.
yeah,
But things have changed for our society, for our generation. Just because, let's say, you go to university doesn't mean you're going to get that job you want.
right.
And also, it's going to be much more expensive than it was for your parents.
Yeah. And then you'll probably never buy a house.
Yeah. But we had all these expectations. Yeah, when I grow up, I'm going to have a house and I'm going to be married by this age and I'm going to have this many kids.
Yeah.
And I expect, it's not
Yeah.
just
So
the
I probably
jobs we have,
thought all
but
that stuff at that point. Like, but
yeah, but even
that's
as we
fine.
got older to some degree, even in high school and stuff, I have
Yeah.
a general expectation, I expected I was going to be rich.
So
I think maybe we all did,
I think we all kind of expect it to be. It's such a weird thing for kids to
you
think.
know.
But so wait, you answer the question the way I did. Like, what did you think when you were little, and how has or hasn't your life met your expectations?
I mean, at different points, I had different expectations. When I was very
Mm,
little, I expected I was going to be a doctor.
right. Yeah.
I think when I was very little, and then I got
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean, we all go
older.
through phases. Sorry, I should have said I also like sometimes I just thought I'd be like my brother and be a lawyer, which like
Hmm.
very quickly I was like, I would be terrible at that. Anyways, go ahead. Yes, I
Yeah,
interrupted you.
no. Yeah, so I expected that at one point. But then as I found a passion for acting, I expected I'd be an actor for a
Mm.
while. Especially in high school, I thought that might be where I'd
Did
be
you never
headed.
want to be a writer? You were great in
This
our
is the
writing
this
class.
is the weirdest thing. It took me so long to realize
Mm,
that writing was so integral to what I loved.
yeah.
It was like a part of all these things, but I didn't realize its nature for me.
Mm,
So I didn't expect to be a writer in and of itself.
right.
It's interesting how those things work out. There are things that I didn't expect to. I mean, at one point, I told you, to be a clinical neuropsychologist. I thought that was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
path I was going to go down
And you
after
did your
doing my
undergrad in
degree
that and
in
everything.
developmental cognitive neuroscience.
Yeah.
Once I chose that, I started to expect that would lead to a job in that field or
Mhm.
something related. I didn't expect I'd be going to film school, but then, your passion finds you along the way and
Yeah.
kicks those expectations to the curb in a
Yeah.
positive way, I think, in this way. But then I didn't necessarily expect I was going to get into USC, the quote unquote
Right.
best film school in the world. I'd hoped I would, but I didn't expect it. And I thought, if I don't get in, I'll keep trying
Yeah.
for a long time as I continue to make movies. I expected at that point that I was going to continue to make films and create art because that's what I knew I had control over. But I
Mhm.
didn't expect that the best film school in the world was going to accept me,
Did you
especially
apply
the first time
elsewhere?
around. I only applied there, threw all my eggs in that
Wow.
basket. I said, yeah, I don't want to go anywhere if it's not the best film school in the world, right? And then, getting accepted, I was like, holy shit. That was why it was one of the most amazing days of my life,
Yeah.
because I didn't expect it.
But you hoped, but you did not
I
expect.
hoped, but like I said, you can hope for $1 million, but you
Yeah.
don't expect it. But then once that happened, I started to get other expectations. I'm going to the best film school in the world. You hear about where that can lead. I expected very soon after I left school, or even before that, something would happen and I'd become huge and I'd make a ton of money and I'd get money to make my movies. Like, of course, I'd go into the best film school in the world. I started to have expectations that were tied to that,
Mm.
but there was quite an uphill climb, and there still is from that point. So I've lowered the expectations, at least for time, right?
Mm.
I think one of the worst things to do is expect something will happen by a certain time.
Mm.
If you expect something will happen because you're putting in the work for it, I think that's more reasonable if you don't attach a time limit to it.
Mm.
Again, it's more of a thing. I think it's okay to expect things of yourself in that way, especially
Right.
when it's, I expect I'm going to put in the work for this.
Yeah.
Still, you can never fully expect someone else is going to give you
Well, you
something.
can't control those things, so you
Ex-
kind of have to do what you can and let go of expectations of others a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. And of course, I'm not married with kids or anything like that right now. And I also don't know, like the things that I expected, I also changed my views on a lot of things. I don't
Yeah.
even know
Yeah.
now that I should be there at this point in my life, just because I expected it when I was younger.
Yeah.
I expected I was going to be, I remember back in elementary school, I told myself I was never going to swear.
Aw,
I was like,
you
I,
swear
ex-
so
I
much.
expected I would never swear.
That's so cute. I can picture like tiny Josh being like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna swear.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna need to. Swears are for uncouth
I love swearing so much now.
people.
I expected when we went to Hebrew school and everything, grew up in the Jewish community. I expected I was only going to date Jewish.
Oh yeah, me too. For a
I
little while.
I
I mean,
only
I was
dated,
told that was all I was gonna do, and I was like, okay.
yeah, I had like, of all the girlfriends I had one
Have you
Jewish
even?
girlfriend.
Yeah, you had one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, same with me. One Jewish boyfriend.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go.
Look how many things we have in common, Aya.
Oh my
For
god,
all the
we're
things that
like
we don't, we have a lot in common.
besties.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my god.
So yeah, there's all kinds of it's quite a wild ride. I mean, one of the things I love about making movies, one of the things I love about watching movies is
Subverted expectations.
yeah,
Sorry.
expecting something to happen and then being surprised. right? I think it's, again, because it's natural to have expectations. You can manipulate people in a positive way,
Yeah.
right? So I like to do that. That's one of the things I enjoy doing to others through
Manipulating
my
people.
art. Manipulating in a positive, I don't know if manipulate's the right word. Subverting expectations. Although I think I've said this before, I don't believe in subverting expectations just to subvert expectations. Sometimes it's good to give people what they expect. And if the
Give
thing
the
you're
people what they
subverting
want,
to,
man.
well, if
Yeah.
the thing you're subverting to isn't better than the thing they expected, then it might not be worth doing.
I don't think I followed that train of thought, but yeah, you're probably right. Sure.
Like there's a lot of, I don't know if you watched that, there was a Star Wars movie that everyone was really angry about because it subverted everybody's expectations.
Which one?
It was The Last Jedi of the new, it was the
Oh,
second, it was the middle of the new ones without
I liked
spoiling
that one.
anything. I liked it at the time too, although certain ways in which it subverted expectations I thought were not better than what I expected. So if you're going to subvert expectations, I think it should be better than the thing you expected. If not, it might not be worth doing.
Right. But what's better?
Right?
Isn't that subjective?
It is, but I mean, you get a sense from the people who are experiencing it, right?
I guess
I mean, if you're like, aha, you thought this character was going to live, but I subverted your expectations and now they're dead. Well, if it's very dissatisfying or unsatisfying to experience that, then it's not good just to subvert.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Well, how long did you expect this episode to go, Aya?
As long as it needs to be.
I say we just wrap things up. Subvert
Let's wrap 'em up.
expectations.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
subverted my expectations because
Yeah.
usually we talk for way longer.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, screw it. Let's end this thing.
Let's just finish. All right. Just finish it up. Oh, also, okay, wait, right before we do that, can I show you my new mug?
Yes, please. Yeah, show me.
I found this bookstore that has a lot of like
Hold
cat
up.
stuff.
Mon chat. It means my cat in French.
Yeah.
And then it
Do you see
says,
this part?
J'habite chez mon chat. Oh, I
Yeah.
live with my cat.
Yeah, it kind of lives like I live at my cat's place.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like at my cat's.
I'm
but
impressed with
avec
myself
mon
that I
chat would
kind of.
be- I'm impressed with you as well. And it has another little black cat. This store had so much
Oh.
black cat stuff. Like they have some weird obsession that I share, but even
that
like,
I share.
but
Meaning
like
it's not so out there.
they had these little like it was like a little velvet pouch with a tiny black cat that you like bring with you for good luck or something. And I was like, I don't need that, but I like that it's a thing. Okay, that's it. I just wanted to show you my mug.
No, that's great.
My
Awesome.
new mug.
Yeah, you want to see? This is
Okay.
my COVID test.
Yeah. Oh, yours are different than ours.
Yeah, it's America.
Oh yeah. I don't have mine with me. Do you want to take one right now on the air with us?
Well, I have to wait 15 minutes to find out if I have.
I wanna
No,
see
I
you
don't want
stick
to.
it down your-
Should I do it right
up
now?
your
Like,
nose.
should I
Do it right now.
do one right now?
You don't have any symptoms, right?
I don't have any symptoms, so should I not take it?
It's more likely to be negative if you don't have symptoms, but
You know what? I don't want to find out that I'm COVID positive right now. That
Oh.
would be so disappointing.
Okay, that's fair.
And
I mean,
we'll
you
end
have no
then we'll end our
symptoms. I
episode
think you're
50
okay.
with me just being sad.
Being like really upset.
Yeah,
that's
guys, this was great. I'm
great.
gonna lose out on
See you guys later.
$10,000.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, this has been another episode of Adulthood Friends. Thank you for listening. And
Not just another episode. This is episode 50 of Adulthood Friends.
50. Yeah. And if
So it's
you've been
not
listening-
just another one.
Okay.
special.
Okay. Jesus Christ. And if you've been listening this whole time, like, thanks also.
Yeah, thank you.
And part of me wants to thank you, and the other part wants me to tell you, like, there's probably a better use of those.
Oh my
more
God,
than
Aya,
50
stop.
hours of
You're
your
such
time.
you're the opposite of like a promote. Like, not only do you
Well,
not know how
it
to promote, you
evens out.
anti-promote.
Anti-promote. I just want to be honest with people. Like, but if you're
What?
getting something out of this, that makes me really happy. And we're always happy to hear from you.
Even if you haven't been listening the whole time and you just tuned in
Oh, yeah.
today,
Of course. Yeah.
like, thank you.
You can always text me or Josh or message us or anything. It's nice. It was cool. Like Bailey messaged us on Adulthood Friends.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
like, that was another person that I was like, I haven't talked to her in so long, but like she's listening. And that's so
Yeah,
cool.
and she was
And I used to
excited
be
to hear
good
from
friends with her.
Simone. Simone was a very popular guest.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's been pretty popular when they've come on.
Everybody's been super popular.
I would also like to say, episode 50, I'd just like to remind everybody that our music is by Tam Duong, that you hear at the beginning and end of every episode. And da-na-na-na-na-na. You're right. It gets in at first, you're like, oh, that's interesting. But then you hear it a bunch of times and it's just going to be in your head forever. Tam is a musical genius.
And the drawing. Yeah.
Nia, Natanya Zaini, but Nia for short, who did our artwork that has been everywhere. I mean, I got a picture recently from our friend Grant, who we hope to have on sooner than later, of him listening to the healthcare episodes on his TV. He had it playing on his TV.
That's just how
and
people play things.
it's not, no, and whatever. He had it playing out of his speakers while he was doing stuff, whatever. Obviously, there's no visual to see us talk, but what it had on there was the giant image of our podcast.
We should animate it.
Poster.
We should get her to animate us.
Yeah, we should get her to do more free work for us.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that little drawing.
It's so good. And yeah, just seeing it on the TV, I mean, it's good enough, I think, that it makes it worth listening to our podcast on a TV.
I like how you think that putting it on a TV is some kind of like upgrade.
I mean, it's just kind of interesting to see it on another device, yes. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sound negative, Aya.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. So thank you, Nia.
But you're not subverting expectations, so it's okay.
By being negative.
That was a dick thing for me to say.
What a dick. That subverts the expectation that you'll be positive and like, oh, but no, saying a nice thing. Okay. Let's
every once in a while. Anyways, as I was trying to say, Nia is awesome and she made great artwork for us. I mean, she's made great artwork for me and my projects for a long time. And I love her and she's just the most wonderful person. And I hope you get to meet her as well. But yeah, thank you, Nia. Episode 50. And I think
you're awesome.
I get motivated by looking at that image and hearing that music. So
it really adds like
just takes it to another level.
It takes it to another level. It exceeds my expectations. I did not expect us to have music or a drawing, like a handmade, like
I didn't expect it to be so good. I expected
I didn't expect to have any of that because it's lovely. Thanks, guys. You're the best.
Never mind. We subverted your expectations again. This episode's going longer.
It's going longer than Also, like if you are enjoying listening to us, please subscribe and like or whatever it is that you can do. We're everywhere. So if you like listening to things on Spotify, go for it. If you like listening to things on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Overcast or on Anchor itself, all of those, we're there. We're everywhere. So okay. And we're also on Facebook with a little page there where people comment sometimes and Josh puts some quotes up and different things. So we're around.
Yeah, it's a community.
Feel free to follow.
Yeah, be a part of it.
Community.
That's one of the things I didn't expect.
Message us too.
I didn't expect our home community to kind of rally around us a bit, and that's happened. We've noticed, and it didn't just bring us together with people; it brought some of them together with each other and with us. So,
all right, that's enough, Josh. Let's just end this.
No, I can't stop thinking about how wonderful all that is.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm sorry, I cut you off at like a lovely point.
How do we usually end this thing, Aya?
I mean,
No, I don't know. It's episode 50. Let's do it classic way.
All right. I think that one of us is usually talking and the music just kind of interrupts us in the middle of a sentence that we're saying, or in the middle of a word sometimes, or in the middle of a breath, or do you need me to talk more? Or are you just going to sit there and stare at me? Jesus Christ.
I wish I read that book, Great Expectations, so we could have talked about that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I haven't read it either. I haven't read any Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
We're illiterate. Or what's the word? Uncivilized. Or wait. What's the word? What's that word for people? Uncultured. Yeah. I didn't even know the word for it.
Which is ironic.
Neanderthals.
We both did work at a library, so it's
I also have a PhD in literature.
And you have a PhD in literature, but we both probably read the back of the book, so there's that.
Oh, that's true. I went to a bookstore today. It was cool. Everything was in French.
Oh yeah, you're in Quebec.
I'm in Quebec. Everything is French. Ooh, can I show you the books I got today?
You got Harry Potter in French?
Yeah.
What is? Let me read it. À l'école des sorcières. Okay, so sorcerer's school of sorcerers.
Yeah, they call it Poudlard instead of Hogwarts, which is really stupid. Oh, and do you know what a magic wand is?
I don't. Wand la magique.
It's worse. Think of like the most stereotypical French bread.
Oh, a baguette. Okay.
Un baguette magique or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
Magic baguette.
Yeah, magic baguette.
Oh.
Anyways,
happy 50th.
Stop recording anytime.
Yay.
Happy 50th episode.
What's with this voice? I love it, but
Was
what's
that a
with
squeak?
it?
Was it squeaking?
It's your happy awake voice. I like it.
This is just like a weird voice. Is it squeaking? I think it's just a weird voice. It's more like a weird voice.